Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, more than anything, an increase in the carbon levy would convince outsiders of Alberta's commitment to cut carbon emissions. Now, prominent conventional oil and oil sands companies have been factoring a carbon levy into their business planning, so they are ready. My question is to the Minister of Finance. How long will the government continue to hide behind the ruse that a levy based on increased intensity of emissions convinces anyone that we are serious about climate change?
Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think the member meant the Minister of Environment, not Finance, so I'll take the question. We in Alberta were the first, as this honourable member knows, to put a price on carbon at $15 per tonne. To date, we have collected over $300 million. We're reducing emissions. We know that as well that we are growing this economy and supplying oil to the world, and so it's important that emission intensity, but it's also important for us to make sure that we're reducing the emissions that we are. We're committed to that, and we're committed to looking at our climate change policy as well, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable member.
Okay, well, if you prefer, the next question's to the Minister of Finance and the Treasury Board. Given Alberta's $15 levy on increased intensity brings in $90 million last year, BC's $15 levy on actual emissions brings in $1.7 billion, and the Alberta Liberal plan would have brought in $1.8 billion, does this government have the courage to raise the carbon levy to $30 per tonne of actual emissions or $40 per tonne? When do we get to put a price on pollution?
Speaker, and this government, as I said, was the first jurisdiction in North America to actually put a price on carbon and legislate at that price, and to reduce emissions by 12% intensity. This government has been a leader in this and will continue to lead in this. Our point, what we want to do is make sure that we're reducing emissions. Alberta is reducing emissions, and with our climate fund, we are using it for green technology, for green jobs, and making sure that we are creating opportunities so that we move off fossil fuels and move to greener technology.
Honourable member.
Does this government not understand that the world is moving in the direction of higher carbon levies? The Premier can take 1,000 trips to the U.S. to convince them to buy our oil, but if the powers that be believe that Alberta is part of the problem, we're sunk.